as he's looking at it before he walks out. And I feel like that's the first time the film decides to tell us that the ship is starting to attune to him, connect to him, possess him, whatever, insert your word, right? And but it might have been happening before he was ever there.
Yeah, a combination of things maybe, but Quinlan also had those eyes too when she died. She had the reflection of that ship in her eyes, and she was infected as well. But then you look at Jolie Richardson, Cooper, and Lawrence Fishburne, they never had that. So maybe he was just attuned to Sam Neill, maybe the ship kind of knew him, but Quinlan got that too.
Did the ship call him back?
Maybe.
I don't know. There are a lot of, that's a totally different conversation, I guess. But yeah, I like these scenes. It was, that was the first time we got to see, our rescue engineer. I can't remember the character's name.
Cooper?
Yeah, he saves Justin and then they're all freaked out. And they're like, nobody goes in this room, whatever, with why were there spikes on the wall in the room with the gravity drive?
Yeah, that was crazy. I think he just wanted like a real techno, like not punk. He just wanted like a punk kind of vision, like that was all Anderson's idea. And it was kind of funny though, and I liked when Fishburne was just basically like, no one's going in there. And Sam Neill's like, no, they got like triple magnetic walls. Like, it's fine. Like, no, I don't care about triple magnetic walls.
And that thing looked gorgeous. Yeah, it looked elaborate and gorgeous.
That set is actually where they build all the massive Bond layers. So on the Bond films from back in the day, whenever there was a huge, massive layer, like in a volcano, that's where they built the sets. And the interesting thing is it was freezing at the time. So that was just like a tin roof. And everybody in there was just freezing in that room. And also anytime it rained or noises, they couldn't really film. So a lot of the dialogue in this movie is actually ADR'd, which I find to be pretty interesting. So that's ADR's recording after the fact. I read an Empire interview where everything was almost thrown out. And then Lawrence Fishburne's in a microphone going, ah, ooh, ah, like all the noises. So I thought that was kind of cool.
And not just that, the ship, from when they first arrived to the Event Horizon to whenever they show like a shot of just the ship floating in space before we get back to what's going on inside. This ship looked, first off, the design was really cool. I thought that even today, the effects looked very crisp to me. And I mean, when you get closer, it's very detailed. Like it's all very impressive to me.
Yeah, especially for 97 and a 30-year-old directing it with, a very short shooting schedule.
Yeah, super impressed with this.
And they lit the set on fire.
By accident.
All right, so how about we do this? We're going to take a quick break. We're going to go put out a fire that Paul Anderson started with a flamethrower that's way too large, that flipped on its side, burnt almost everything in the studio, and we'll be back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I just pulled my best Kurt Russell backdraft mode, and you pulled your best John Travolta Ladder 49 mode, and we put that fire out.
I just leapt 60 feet to another building with my prosthetic leg.
Yeah, but you have two legs. You were holding one. That's what makes it even more.
I was doing an air guitar, and then I jumped with the grounded foot. Like The Rock.
Oh, brother. All right, so we got a couple listener questions.
Sure. I want to save some for the end, but we have, why is Lawrence Fishburne's captain's chair so uncomfortable looking and over-engineered? This question, by the way, comes from return listener question Alex Vorkov from Twitter.
Now, I do know that Fishburne loved this chair. Fishburne, he was like a huge fan of it. But the problem is, they built it so he could look at everything, but it just didn't work because it was on a hydraulic set, so it would shake. So they ended up losing control of the chair, and it just kind of floated everywhere. So I guess they kind of meant it to be a chair where he could look at everything, where he could look to his left, right, do all that kind of stuff. That was the captain's chair, but they just didn't have enough time to make it fully functional, and it ended up looking like a little skinny chair.
So it's interesting because, like, I know what they mean too in some respects, because when it moves up and then it stops, it has like a little rickety rock for a second. Yeah. Like a little jilt. It looks, however, very cool, and I like that it's central. I like that the captain's chair looks different than I feel like other captain's chairs look. Except it, and I didn't think about this until about my second watch in the last few days, the last several days. But it doesn't look comfortable. It actually looked like his knees were really close together, like you were on an airplane.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like the
I
type of
imagine
guy.
that Fishburne.
I'll go for it.
I was just gonna say, I imagine Fishburne liked it because he got to be like the Shatner in this sci horror.
And he seems like the type of guy that wouldn't complain. Like, he hates it, but he's like, I'm the captain. I'm not going to
It's a
complain.
neat chair.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a fancy chair.
It's just tough to work. I think they got a little overly ambitious with it on their schedule. I mean, that's a tough thing to really work on the set. So the idea was there, they built it's there, but it looks, I wouldn't want that chair. I'd just take a lawn chair, put it in the middle, hang out.
Yeah. And we actually have a few more listener questions that I'm going to save so that they don't interrupt the pace of our conversation. But we have actually 3 more, including another comment from Alex later on after we finish our discussion. But so, Mark, this film, this is going to we're reaching the point where things have started to go wrong. At first, it just looked like kind of a technical mishap that affected Mr. Justin. And, we didn't think that there was evil afoot. But later enough things start happening that evil abounds. Like, which of these evil things that start creeping up did you like or dislike or favor?
I don't think I ever got into, like, the crew being taken over so much. I just kind of liked the atmosphere, and I liked Fishburne's character, and I liked how they were trying to survive it. But I think what hit me the most for this is not particularly who the evil or, whatever hell hits. It's just the utter hopelessness of it. But I like that they're still fighting it. And I like that when you see these scenes of what happened to the prior crew, that's what sticks with me the most, is what happened to the prior crew.
The flash visions of hell. That goes back to when they were first entering from the Lewis and Clark, the Event Horizon. And they make it out. I don't remember if that was the main deck, the captain's deck or whatever, where you see in those little alcoves the gore chili splattered on the wall when the lights flicker. Like that scene to me, that when you see that in the flashes of light, I mean, and they're like skeletons stuck in dry gore against these alcoves in the captain's deck or whatever. And God, like it's that and the visions of hell. Those are the things that I used to always remember most about this movie.
I love when Fishburne's like, "This place is a tomb," and then
this place.
And then the one thing, like the eyes, what happened to his eyes? And they're saying, "Oh, maybe decompression." But then Sean Pertwee's like, "Oh, maybe an animal did it." I'm like, "There's no." I was like, "Come on."
He was flashing forward to his dog soldiers days.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe the wolves. But, I mean, I guess he's brainstorming, and I guess it's logical to think of everything. But when I heard that, I was like, oh, brother. But, yeah, no, I liked that even as some of these characters were turning, everyone was trying, like, Baby Bear, they were really trying to save him. Like, this guy was really affected. He got actually sucked into the portal. He wanted to die, but they saved him. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, that they were really going out of their way for each other as a crew.
And this comes back to like them just doing their job and dealing with their horrible situation. When Mama Bear, I'm just going to start calling her that. When Mama Bear is like, Justin woke up. He's made his way into the airlock. He's going to launch himself out. There's something wrong with him, basically. I'm paraphrasing. And, you're getting to Lawrence Fishburne, who's out with Cooper outside, and Cooper's doing repairs on the side of the ship. Cooper's like, okay, that's me. Like, I'm the rescue guy. And Lawrence Fishburne's like, no, I need you here. Like, this is what you do. I don't do this. I guess I got to go save him. And Lawrence Fishburne just goes and, it didn't sound like confident in the sense like, I'm a good guy who can figure out how to save people. It's just like, no, you need to be here to save us all.
Yeah. And also, they were going to run out of air in 20 hours. We didn't mention that after the first explosion.
Right.
So, and I also like the scene where Cooper sees something. And Sam Neill's like, oh, nothing happened. And then Lawrence Fishburne's like, Mr. Cooper says he saw something. I believe him. That was cool.
Yeah.
Fishburne's really good in this movie.
Yeah, Sam Neill is always like, he's always rationalizing I'm going to say this, like, on the side of the ship.
Yeah.
On the side. But of course, at the same time, something supernatural is happening to them. And in these movies, they don't believe walking into the movie that supernatural things happen. So he's just rationalizing, oh, yeah, you know, there could have been expansion and contraction in the metal. It could have affected time, space, and the gravity drive. It could have created disorientation. So he's always rational. And of course, it pisses off everyone. Cooper's like, what the fuck are you saying? You know, like he gets pissed off. And that was an interesting dynamic, because every time it happens, I got irritated at Sam Neill, at Dr. Weir. But when I thought about it, I'm like, I see what's going on here and it's fine, but it still irritated me.
Yeah. And no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And do you mind if I bust a couple production notes for you here real quick?
Bust those notes.
All right. So, Jolie, what was her character's name? Gosh, I need to remember this. Jolie Richardson Stark. There's a weird hat on her. And one point in the commentary, the director's like, I think we got the hat wrong. I don't know. I just love that they got her hat wrong. And then, what do you, so this is also really interesting for this film. So he was known as a very fast moving director, Paul Anderson, but he really wanted to mimic Kubrick. So what'd you think about all the symmetrical sets that were here? And like,
I mean, they felt very, very aesthetically pleasing, but at the same time, not all of them. I don't really have an eye for this, but not all of them. But some of them you start to notice, especially when it went from one person to another person. You'd notice it, and it almost felt curated. It almost felt more staged, not fake, not, I don't know. But I'd notice it. It felt like there was a deliberate appeal or goal about it. And I don't even know. I don't have the words. But yeah, sometimes I noticed it, and the symmetry looked very cool, but it didn't look so natural.
Gotcha. I just, it's kind of interesting. I feel like he made his best film trying to like, he really drew from all of his influences, but now he just makes Paul Anderson films. It's kind of like an interesting dynamic, how his best film was him drawing inspiration from all of his I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool dynamic. But yeah, getting back to the movie, you have Weir being a pain in the butt. You have Cooper fixing the airlock. And then you have the first visions of Stark and Mama Bear see the first unfiltered clips of what happened to the first crew.
Oh my God. This is one of those things where, like, when you see the extended version on YouTube, and you can do that, by the way, see like the longer version, it doesn't look as cool, because you have time to focus in on it. But boy, the flashes, I think they're great. You know, the maggots, the screaming, these people are basically banging each other to death while murdering each other with devices or their hands or choking. It's this very macabre thing.
You see enough of it to infer what's going on, but you don't get enough of it to actually see. Like, if they left the camera on it for 4 seconds, it probably might have become a little comical. But since it's just so blasted at you, you're like, what did I just see? Like, he brought up a good point, like aliens. Like, all right, so that movie Psycho. People were, when they walked out of it, they just thought it was the glorious film they'd ever seen in their lives. But it's really not. Yeah. So like some goes down the shower drain, but that's it. But people in their heads were like, there was blood everywhere. So you watch this scene, and just because you see enough of it, you build it up so much in your head. And I got to say, hearing Lawrence Fishburne go, fuck this ship. Like, that's
no, he says that a little later.
Oh, he goes,
when he first saw it, we're leaving.
He says that first, actually. I'm sorry. Yeah, he goes, we're leaving. That's such a great response. Like,
and he's calm. You know that in his head, it's like the duck's feet under the water, but at the top, it just looks like a calm duck. Like, we're leaving. We getting the, I'm not going to finish that sentence. We only get so many F-bombs in an episode before iTunes rates us differently. But so, and then he's freaking out, and then Weir goes from what I will call rationalizing and pragmatizing in defense of the ship and physics to the supernatural stuff to he just turns weird on us.
Yeah, you can't leave. It won't let you.
She won't let you.
And then he runs. Then he runs away.
Like, he goes straight up Hellraiser Hannibal Lecter on us.